Hey guys, Desletter Magic here. Time for another negative video. You better run away scared because you just can't handle it. Seriously, get the fuck off my channel if that's you. And you know what? If you're one of those people who says, oh, your channel's awful, your content's awful, I hate you, your videos are terrible, wah, 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 and then watches every fucking video I upload, you can join them. Fuck off. There is clearly something wrong with you mentally, and I am sick of dealing with it. So I'm still pissed off about the absolutely unplayable toxic state of Standard for the last year and a half, and I'm gonna tell you about it. So here's the top 19 cards, oh yes, 19 fucking cards that I am not gonna miss at all when they cycle out of Standard. Good riddance to this broken toxic shit. Now, I should note, some of these I'm just personally annoyed with and I'm sick of them being in Standard. They're not mistakes. I mean, I will be sure to tell you when the card was a design mistake, when it just never should have been printed. Other stuff, it's just like, yeah, it's getting annoying. You know, nobody would say Thoughtseize is broken, it's overpowered, but it's fucking annoying. People were like having parties when that shit cycled out of Standard. Doesn't mean it was a design mistake, it just means people hated the fucking card. Speaking of that, a braid. Oh good, 3 damage for 2 mana at instant speed, and you can blow up an artifact. Well, fuck you too. Oh, giving a burn deck artifact removal options without sideboarding. Thanks for that, Wizards. Next up, Approach of the Second Sun. Gee, did you think maybe this would make the list? Alternate win conditions where literally the entire rest of your deck is all draw and control? Yeah, fuck you too. People who played that deck should be ashamed of themselves, and this card needs to go back to hell where it came from. Ahn-Crop Crasher, or as I like to call it, the card that actually should have been banned from Red Rush. Oh, I finally got out something that can stop you. I'm gonna stop your red giant aggressive creatures with superior creatures. Oh, now I'm not? Oh, you didn't put a restriction on it like you did with Kenra? Thanks for that. You could make a 7/7 not block. Dropping this in is a death sentence. It's automatically lethal. They're gonna win this turn. Fuck that. Fuck Red Rush. Next up, Crested Sunmare, as I like to call it, indestructible horses for free every single fucking turn. If you don't remove this, you die. Simple as that. You are going to lose the game if you do not remove this. A little harsh for a 5 cost, okay? 6 and up, I'll let it go, but 5, that's fucking ridiculous. The number one problem with this is that it didn't have Legendary, and Mirage Mirror is in the same damn set. Next up, Doomfall. Oh boy! I am convinced that the only reason they didn't make this instant speed is because that's an unwritten rule of the game. You do not have hand disruption or card discard at instant speed. There are really obscure ways around it, but other than that, that is a absolute hard set rule in the game. That said, oh good, you get to get rid of a hexproof or indestructible creature, maybe. I mean, if it's the only one on the battlefield, so there is that. Or you can use it as hand disruption. The 2 most obnoxious things in black on the same fucking card. Oh, I needed that. Thanks, Wizards. Boy, Christmas came early this year. Fuck you. In fact, they were just like, you know what? Should we make it only creature? Should we make it only non-creature? Should we limit it to 3 mana? Fuck it. Let them get rid of anything. They can get rid of any answer to the board state and any creature. Unfucking believable. Next up, Fraying Sanity, single-handedly responsible for making Mill playable in Standard. Oh, wonderful, everybody loves Mill. Like we needed another control spam all-in win condition bullshit, okay? Nobody wanted that, nobody needed that. Stop printing Mill, never make it a thing ever again. Oh, and maybe if you're gonna print some bullshit like this, make it legendary. It double triggers its own doubling effect. Whoopsies, I guess your playtesting group just doesn't know how Magic works or doesn't know how the rules work. They don't even know how the stack works, apparently. Once again, this is in the same fucking set as Mirage Mirror. You can run 8 of these in your deck, basically. You can mill somebody out on turn 5 with this fucking card. That's ridiculous. Next up, Gideon of the Trials. Oh, he doesn't have a negative at all, and his ult is free. Thanks for that, Wizards. Oh good, it's Platinum Angel for 4 less mana, except if Platinum Angel was a Planeswalker instead of an incredibly easy to get rid of creature. Fuck you, Wizards. Stop printing Gideon, just stop. We're Gideoned out. We're done with Gideon, you're done with Gideon, just fuck Gideon. Next up, God Pharaoh's Gift. It's a 7 cost virtually unplayable artifact. I'm choosing it because of the deck it goes in. You're gonna see a theme in this video. This lets you bring back whatever the fuck you want from your graveyard completely for free. Keep that in your mind, because you can bring back a fucking Torrential Gearhulk with this goddamn thing. Next up, Glorybringer. Oh, you had something to stop them? Now you don't. Oh, you had a flyer? Fuck you, you do. You're gonna take 4 damage every turn from now until eternity. Fuck you. I can't wait to see this card gone. I am sick of it. Next up, Hazoret the Fervent. And you know what? The whole rest of Red Rush. The whole deck. Fuck the whole deck. 5/4 indestructible haste, and all you have to do is burn out your whole hand, or in other words, get really close to winning and get them down to like 5 life, and then you drop this bullshit in. Can't fucking stand this card. Next up, Hour of Devastation. You're probably thinking, what? Why? Well, clearly you haven't played against that deck. It's black-red, and they just sit there and dick around and drop lands and draw and draw and draw and stall, maybe a fatal push, and then drop this on your entire line of unopposed creatures. I hate this card so much I've developed a spidey sense for when this fucker is coming. I'll be about to play something, there'll be like a voice, like the fucking Jedi Force ghost in the back of my head saying, Des, don't play it. He's clearly got Hour of Devastation. Nobody keeps a 6-land hand and then keeps drawing land. Except for you. He's just waiting till you cast more shit and then he's gonna bomb you as soon as his 5th fucking land drops. I have had this take out 8 fucking creatures in a Planeswalker before. 8 fucking creatures in a Planeswalker for 5 fucking mana. I would literally cut off my left arm for a colorless counterspell to stop this fucking thing. Fuck you, Bolus. I hope you die at the end of Ravnica. Next up, surprise, surprise, bitches, it's Earthshaker Kenra. Oh good, my shit can't block. When I finally blow this up, they'll just bring it back so my shit can't block again. At least they put a fucking restriction on it, but in my opinion, this should have been banned. I mean, Ahn-Crop Crasher was first, but this is my second pick. The Eternalize is an absolute death sentence. You should not have to kill something twice in a red creature rush deck that's already too fucking good. When they got Glorybringer in the air and an Indestructible God on the ground, you should not be able to bring this back for 6. Fuck this card. You literally cannot beat Red Rush with creatures anymore. It is impossible. A line of walls will just get abraded. A line of creatures will just get nuked by every spell ever. Life gain isn't even effective enough. Flyers can't outdamage it. Nothing can outdamage it. Basically, you have to wipe the board. That's the only way to beat Red Rush is wiping the board. That or I guess hand disruption on par with like a divine hand sent down from heaven to perfectly nuke every card they have before they can cast it. Or Battle at the Bridge. God, that card just fucking wrecks Red Rush. I get some implements out there. A couple of those the metal spinner, whatever the fuck they're called. And then just Battle at the Bridge for like 8. Oh no, you ain't coming back from that. And FYI, I usually kill Hazoret that way. Fuck Red Rush and fuck every card in it. Next up, Liliana Death's Majesty. She was $50 at one point. When a card hits $50, are you listening, research and development? That is your best indication that you fucked up and you suck at your job. I don't give a fuck what her +2 is. I don't give a fuck what her -7 is, although that is pretty broken. Her -3, bring back a Torrential Gearhulk from the battlefield. It might as well just say that. With the amount of enter the battlefield effects, that cannot happen. That -3 cannot be a thing. Fuck you, Liliana. Oh, by the way, fun fact. It's not exiled and replaced with a token, and it's not a token. If they emergency bounce it back to hand, they get the actual card back. I had somebody playing the Resurrector deck with her in it. They hit me with 7 fucking Torrential Gearhulks. 7 of them. That's how you know research and development just doesn't even give a fuck anymore. You can't have this many cards that just resurrect anything, just absolutely fucking anything in the game, and then have 8 sets legal. Because you know what people are gonna do? They're gonna resurrect the really broken shit, the absolute best creatures ever printed. Fucking morons. I mean, every single one of these cards would be just fine if they would have cycled out Kaladesh and Aether Revolt, because they all work with cards from that. So next up, no big fucking surprise here, Anointed Procession. Did they actually not know that this works with Embalm and Eternalize? Because I think they didn't. The Cats deck is completely fucking out of control, and the Embalm deck is completely fucking out of control with this stupid fucking card. And guess what, guys? It's not legendary, and it's in the same block with Mirage Mirror. Whoopsies, somebody fucked up. Too bad they won't be held accountable or fired. Next up, pull from tomorrow. Oh no, they have to discard a card after they pull 14 fucking cards. There are worse things you can do with that much mana, like to actually win the game, but, you know, that's arguable. Because is it actually worse to pull 7 more fucking control spells and then leave the game running, or just finish off your opponent like a civilized person? You feed like 10 mana into Torment of Hailfire, it's like, okay, you got me, whatever, fuck it, let's shuffle, let's play the next game. This is just like, I'm gonna drag this game out to eternity. Fuck you, I got 4 more disallows in my hand. You might actually die of old age before this game finishes. Fuck you. Well, fuck this broken ass card. Next up, Regal Caracal. Bet you didn't see this one coming. Well, unless of course you've played against white-green cats with Anointed Procession. All other cats get +1/+1 in lifelink. Okay, that makes always watching look like shit. And guess what? You get 2 white cats. And just in case they have lifelink. That's too many fucking cats, okay? There are a lot of fucking cats and cat synergy. Pride Sovereigns in standard right now. I mean, you can't print a card like this. I don't care if it's double white and cost 5. You can't fucking do this. It's too good. You can't give somebody 50 attack power and all of it's got lifelink. Not when there's this much passive boost. You've got the City's Blessing +1/+1, and then that grants vigilance with the blessing. You've got the Flag where you can just name cats. You've got the Mimic where you can name cats. You're gonna have an army of 7/7 lifelink cats on like turn 6. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. This card took cats way the fuck too far, and we need to step it back a little bit by cycling this bullshit out. And the number 1 card by far, every single time that a ban came up, everybody was waiting for this thing to get the ban hammer, the Scarab fucking God. You might as well just toss out the rest of your deck because this is your whole deck right here, okay? You've got 4 cost Resurrection with no limit, so you can bring back, you know, a 15 cost, a 12 cost. It doesn't really fucking matter. You can bring back anything. There's no limit to it. And you know what? Let's give it the Enter the Battlefield effect too. Fuck you. Oh, you take an overpowered 1/1 and make it a 4/4 so it's even harder to destroy? Awesome. Fantastic. I love a 4/4 Ovaya as much as everybody. Oh, and it's a zombie for zombie synergy. Wonderful. And then, oh, at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life and you scry X to make sure that they can't possibly shut down your deck in double control colors, where X is the number of zombies you control, so you're directly killing your opponent with unblockable damage, while also ensuring that you can't lose by protecting this card, while also bringing out things from your graveyard and your opponent's graveyard, and if they finally manage to kill this fucking thing, it just returns to your hand. They could remove 3 of the things I just complained about and this card would still be broken bullshit. This card is overpowered, it's the wrong color, it's just fucking ridiculous. It is absolutely fucking out of control. This is the number 1 worst, most broken card I have ever seen in Standard since I started playing. Nothing even comes close to this, not even Ugin. You exile this within 1 turn, or you lose, for 5. Utterly fucking ridiculous. Next up, Soulscar Mage. Oh good, I'm bringing out creatures so tough that your stupid little red piddly bullshit cheap-ass hasters can't get past without dying, and your burn spells aren't good enough. All my creatures have 4 toughness, what are you gonna do now? Oh, get Wither for 1. And you know what, not just Wither, Prowess, because fuck you. Oh, and for 1 mana it has 2 toughness, because extremely fuck you. This card is broken bullshit, and I can't wait until it's out of Standard. I am sick to my ass of playing against that fucking card. I don't need to sit here and tell you that Red Rush is too good. I think 7 of its cards in that deck made it to this fucking list in this video and the last. Next up, Torment of Scarabs. Yes, I know it's in 3 of my decks. Yes, I love this card, but guess what? I hate this fucking card. You know why I like to play it? Because people playing blue-white will fucking lose to it. Or gonna drag out the game by just repeating the same bullshit and overdrawing me and shutting down everything I do and ruining my entire board state? Sure, take all the turns you want, asshole. But I am sick of playing against this. I'm sick of people doing exactly what I'm doing, which is this, and the entire rest of the deck is control, draw, fetch. I've seen it on Arena. I've played it on Arena because people on Arena are all playing toxic shit, so I'm just gonna, you know, up the bar to oblivion. Like, you wanna see toxic? Oh, I'll show you fucking toxic. You're cool with wasting your time going to turn 40? Cool, let's go to 45. I've got 4 of these in my deck. Fuck you. Hell, I run Cruel Reality in the deck. And Torment of Hailfire. I'm sick of this fucking card. Fuck it. Oh, what do you know? That was the last one. I just looped them. You know what? A Braid again. Fuck a Braid. It goes on the list twice. So that's the top 19 cards. If I missed one, feel free to put it in. I'm sure there were some lands that I didn't look at. Vent your frustrations down below. Hell, put Mirage Mirror on the list if you want. I just like it because it's hilarious. But giving people 2 of their degenerate cards in every deck, regardless of color, that's a little bit fucked up. Just a little bit. But add whatever you want down below, and thank God everything from the last 2 videos is gone. Standard might actually be playable if they don't design Ravnica wrong. You know, from past experience, looking at the release of, 20 or 30 sets that Wizards has done, I have a pretty good feeling they're gonna fuck it up. They have lost so many players at the GPs and at FNM because of too many sets being legal and leaving this toxic, impossible to play against, aggravating, control-enabling, over-synergistic bullshit in Standard without either cycling it all out or banning it. They just don't get it. They're just wondering where the customers are going, and they don't fucking get it. Well, Wizards, about half of the cards in both these videos you never should have printed in the first place, and the other half you should have banned. Stop making the same mistake over and over and over. We need no more than 7 sets legal at any given time. Actually, I'll say 6. I think that's how it would work. And we need things like Scarab God to never happen again, and Collected Company, and Ugin, and Grey Merchant, and the Minotaur deck from Return to Ravnica. It's just an ongoing history of just broken shit that makes people not show up to FNM, and they don't fucking get it. Nobody at Wizards understands why people are leaving because they can't see past the pro level. They don't care what goes on past GPs. They don't care what casual or extremely advanced FNM players care about, what they don't want to play against, and if they're happy. I've got news for you. We're not happy. And when we're not happy, we leave. Because why the fuck would I play a card game if it doesn't make me happy? If I'm not having fun, I'm gonna go do literally anything else that is more fun than Magic. And in the last year and a half, Magic has been the opposite of fun. It's been aggravating, impossible, just fucking stupid. It's been broken. The Standard meta is a fucking joke. And to let shit like Karn to Fairy approach be a thing, and then just say, oh, well, Red Rush is broken and Goblin Chain Whirler is a fucking disgrace to the game. But Red Rush is about to cycle out, so I guess just don't play Magic for 3 months. If you think we're coming back after 3 months to play, and we're just going to take the time off because you're too much of a bunch of pansy-ass little bitches to ban shit and just have all the net decking crybabies go quit the game and go play fucking Hearthstone, for every one of those, there's 10 casuals that'll come back to FNM and spend a ton of money and build multiple decks, okay? Fuck those people. Who gives a shit? They built the stupid copied from the internet overpowered shit. They know it was overpowered. They know it was unfair. That's why they kept winning with it. So what you need to do is not care about those fuckers. Who cares about those toxic players? Who gives a shit? They can go to the GPs all they want. When they show up to FNM, they drive everybody away. These cards, these decks, and those players are why you don't have any customers anymore. That and your stupid fucking personal politics that you can't get any of your staff members to shut the fuck up about. If you ever want to save the game and ever want to see another uptick in profitability, you're gonna need to put down the 9th fucking master set that you're planning for 2020 and actually fix your core product and make the game playable. Because every one of these fucking cards never should have happened. And I know people are going to say, but Desolator, it doesn't make any sense. You just don't like powerful cards. You want weak, boring, stupid, slow, Magic where there's nothing worth playing. I could make the exact polar opposite of both these videos. It's the cards that I can't believe we're losing because they're so good, they're so fun to play, they just swoop in and save the day, but without just shutting down your opponent, making an unfair deck. There's probably 50, maybe even 100 cards that I'm just like, oh my god, I can't believe we're losing this. Even just like Aerial Responder. There's nothing like, oh, just ban Aerial Responder. It's so toxic, it's so evil. No, it's just a good fucking card. I'd even say Settle the Wreckage. Sure, I love that card. I don't think it should be banned. You're dumb enough to swing all out when you know it's in my deck, you know I'm playing white, you know I got 4 mana open, that's your fucking problem. You didn't bring a way to counter it? Still your problem, not my problem. It's a great equalizer, it can turn the game around. Dovin Bond, I love that fucking card. Half the Planeswalkers in Standard, all the Nissas. Perfectly fair cards. I mean, even the Scry Nissa, she's so dynamic, so fun, so interesting. There's never been a Planeswalker like that before. That card is amazing, but it doesn't just hit the table, and your opponent wants to forfeit, and they're like, fuck you for building this deck. That's what these cards in this video are for. So for every one broken bullshit fucking R&D disaster of a card, there's like 3 more cards that were perfectly designed, perfectly appropriate, and we're losing those too. So no, I just don't like these cards because of what they've done or the fact that they never should have gotten through R&D. But there are plenty of powerful cards that don't push it too far. And in the words of Mark Rosewater himself, why do they keep having to print overpowered stuff and ban stuff? It's because they like to push the limit, and once in a while they go too far, but they want modern and standard to keep evolving and new deck archetypes to keep evolving with hyper powerful cards that everybody wants so that they can sell packs and so that the game stays interesting. But even he admitted in the same fucking blog post that sometimes they go too far. Well, I've got an idea. Stop going so far. You cannot have any player of Magic who's been playing for more than a year look at Scarab God and say, oh, well, that'll be neat. That'll be fun to play against. Oh, good, cool. Oh, that'll be interesting if they can get it off, but I don't think it'll go in any serious deck. No, the thing was pre-ordering for like $30 fucking. Everybody knew it was broken except for you. So like I said, I've said it before and I'll say it again, fire the entire R&D department. They don't know what they're doing. I mean, they're all basically old pro players. All they know is pro. They don't even know what F&M is. They don't know what it's like. They don't know what us, the customer base, is like. They don't know anything. They look at a card like that and they're like, this'll dominate the GP. It'll be so great. Everybody will want to buy it. Woo, I'm doing my job and making sales. Whoops, you broke standard for a year and a half. Oops. Oh shit, where'd all the customers go? I thought they were all going to love this card and buy it. Nope. Not how it works. You need a fun, low-powered, dynamic, diverse, high variety of decks standard meta. That is what you need. That is what everybody wants. So maybe, just maybe, in the next 3 Ravnica sets, Wizards will pull their head out of their ass and just print fun, mid-powered stuff, or high-powered but appropriately costed, or not 9 different fucking effects on the same card. No overboard synergy, no game-dominating shit, and certainly no secondary win conditions. If they do that, Standard will actually be playable. And for a couple times over the last 5 years, it has been briefly very playable, very fun, very dynamic, where anybody could build anything that was really tight, really high powered, and win with it. There were 20 equally competitive decks, and then they dropped the next set, and that was it. And then we got ban after ban after ban. And they were just frantically scrambling to scrape together some semblance of a standard meta with bans and bans and bans and bans and bans. Don't let it get that fucking far ever again. So that's the problem. That's how you fix it. These are the cards that I can't fucking stand from the Amonkhet block. I can't wait till they're gone. And I can't wait for the release of Ravnica. That'll be really fucking nice. At least at the end of the day, we will be down to 5 sets legal, which is where it always should be. 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6. I'm really looking forward to the next time that 8 sets are legal, because I'll be able to just go play something else. Get a fucking clue, Wizards. I'll see you guys next video.